And I know it's been everybody's having a very busy day and a busy week. So good afternoon. It is time to begin the meeting of the Metropolitan Council. It is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, and I call the meeting to order. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vento and seconded by Lindstrom. Approval of agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is adopted. Next, we'll have the approval of minutes. So hopefully you've all had a chance to take a look at your minutes. And these are from the August 28th meeting. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Cummings and seconded by Wolf. Approval of minutes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is adopted and the minutes are adopted. Next, we have the public invitation part of the meeting. And at this point in the meeting, members of the public who wish to address the council on matters not on the agenda may do so. Do we have anybody tonight? Okay. So there's, as far as I know, there's no public comment. Okay. Someone got up. They didn't go forward, though. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and so we don't have anybody for that. Next, we'll do the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are enacted in one motion, typically. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Johnson and seconded by Wolf. Approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We are moving very fast, council members. Reports of the standing committees. So now we're going to hear from the standing committees. Council member Lilligren, you are first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Community Development Committee brings one item for consideration today, and it's item 2020-2024. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it's not. 2019-258. It's the 2020 to 2024 Public Housing Agency Plan approval. And that's the action includes the 2020 to 2024 5-year Public Housing Agency Plan, the 2020 Annual Public Housing Agency Plan, and the changes to the Housing Choice Voucher Administrative Plan. These plans are outline the goals and strategies for meeting the needs of low-income residents in the region and the discretionary policies for the program that we have decision-making authority over. These are fairly routine items, but there are some changes within the plans that generated a lot of discussion. One of the changes is shifting to a biennial inspection proposed policy from our annual. It would allow housing units to be inspected every other year instead of every year. U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development made a change that allows us to make this change to every 2 years. In the committee, questions focused on ensuring units remain safe for families while providing relief on the administrative burden of the annual inspections. Staff explained to us in committee that there are special inspections processes in place that will be communicated to program participants. This policy change can also be used as a landlord recruitment strategy. It's sort of an added benefit in that it reduces the administrative burdens on landlords. The plan change that generated the most discussion is the minimum rent proposed policy change. It resulted in a lengthy discussion. The policy change proposed in this action would require that all housing voucher holders pay $50 towards at least $50 minimum rent towards housing and utilities instead of the current $0 required payment. The committee discussion focused on families that may not be able to pay the $50 minimum. Well, it's actually a fairly broad committee discussion, but one of the key components and factors was families unable to pay. Staff explained to us we have hardship exemptions, either temporary or long-term, available under certain circumstances, and that these options will be fully explained to program participants. Staff also shared national and local data on minimum rent adoption. 88% of housing authorities nationally have minimum rent. 7 out of 9 agencies in the Twin Cities do. The minimum rent is one cost containment strategy. And Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion, and if I can get a second, I would like to speak to that motion as well. So, Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council approve the following documents and address staff to submit them to HUD. Uh, One, the 2020 to 2024 year 5-year public housing agency plan. Two, the 2020 annual public housing agency plan. And three, changes to the housing choice voucher administrative plan.
So, Councilmember Lilligren, you have a motion on 2019-258.
Correct. Motion
Okay.
to approve.
Motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and it's been seconded by Councilmember Bento. And is there discussion?
Yeah,
Councilmember
please,
Lilligren.
Madam Chair. I really want to take time to comment on this just because it is, I think, by far the most discussed item we've ever had within the Community Development Committee. And it's been a long discussion over time in several fairly long Community Development Committee meetings. And I really want to start by thanking staff and especially Terry Smith, Jennifer Keogh for their work on this, but their teams as well. And we are in sort of new uncharted territory. This is an unusual and systemic budget shortfall that we're facing due to the decrease of federal support of public housing authorities. And councils have been responding in different ways. We have used reserves in some cases, which is not a practical or a sustainable workout, especially the federal portion of our reserves take a long time to build back up, if they ever would be, with the decreasing federal support. As we know, the previous council addressed a shortfall with a temporary or bridge measure by dedicating some of our general purpose levy dollars to fill the hole. Council members Barber and Wolf have brought this forward and made it clear about the discussion last year when the decision was made to use our own funds to fill the budget shortfall, and that this is not a sustainable solution. There are concerns about sort of regional equity, since the Metro PHA provides service in about half the metropolitan area. Of course, the entire 7 counties is paying into our general purpose levy, and so there was a sort of a regional inequity there. The folks might, or council members might remember that there was a strong interest from both the returning council members that the Chair Slawick and Chair of Community Development Committee open a regional conversation with local governments to determine their willingness to contribute to this ongoing shortfall, since they're the communities that specifically the Metro PHA provides service. During this robust conversation we learned that that is not a viable option. We were informed by there was a HUD determination that it is in violation of HUD regulations to use a local levy, and that we're only allowed to use federal dollars. So council members know we had to come up with a workout plan even for this year. And again, I want to thank staff for their incredibly quick work. They were adapting very quickly. Council members had a lot of questions, and I really want to thank my fellow council members, especially Community Development Committee members, for the quality of the discussion and debate that we had. It was respectful, tremendously engaged. It got very passionate at times because we're making decisions that could negatively impact families within our region, and those are hard decisions to make. And I know that when the governor and the lieutenant governor appointed us to these seats, they knew we would be able to make the difficult decisions that we had to make. And this really feels like one of the first ones where the impact is so immediately felt on some of our most vulnerable residents. And during committee, there were 2 amendments brought forward. Councilmember Chambliss made a motion to reduce the minimum rent to 0, to eliminate the minimum rent. Councilmember Atlas Ingridson made a motion to reduce the minimum rent to $25 a month. After great debate and discussion, neither of those motions prevailed, but I would note that the final vote within committee passed without objection and passed unanimously. And I would just observe that for what is still a very young council, we've been together a very short time, I would just observe that that's very mature governance, to realize that we do need to come together, we do need to make difficult decisions, and that there is strength in numbers when we move together. And so I ask my colleagues to support this today. It isn't happy, joy stuff that, this is a difficult decision, but it is one measure to address a systemic hole in our ongoing PHA budget. So I ask my colleagues to support it, please.
Thank you, Chair Lilligren, and I just want to thank you for your leadership and what's been uh, really a challenging process, and just in that the issues, there was no easy way to solve this. And so for you and for those on the committee, there are the days where you take votes that are harder sometimes. And I think this was a courageous vote. I think that people really showed the unity as you talk about that, and why these decisions have been made. And I also want to thank the staff for their work. I think we you only come up with good options, right? From as staff and the council work through things. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Vento.
Madam Chair, I want to second your commendation of Councilmember Lilligren and his leadership on the committee. You've really helped create the tone for a respectful, thoughtful, thorough discussion. And I also want to add thanks to the staff. Nobody feels good about this, but as you said so eloquently, Councilmember Lilligren, this is what we were appointed to do. I would ask, and I won't make this in the form of a motion, just a suggestion, that we as a council commit ourselves to coming up with a plan with staff and the appropriate staff to engage ourselves with our delegation in the U.S. House and U.S. Senate to talk about the need for more dollars in this area. I hope we don't have to continue to have these kinds of discussions where we're continuing to cut back and limit and see firsthand when we drive downtown or drive anywhere that the numbers of homeless and people in need are increasing. So my ask would be that we take the passion that we have felt during these discussions and that we use it in a constructive sort of way to deliver a message to the people who can help make a difference.
So we're in the middle of a vote, but I am going to ask the RA, can you follow up with that, whether it's a letter to our congressional delegation or how exactly this happens? And
Yeah, Madam Chair, Councilmember Vento, our staff have already had a discussion with the National Association of, it's the National PHA Association, I'm not recalling the acronym. And they are working nationwide to do this. We've also discussed it with our federal lobbyist, Jeremy Bratt. He's going to follow that National Association's lead, but we'll get in there, of course, with our delegation and talk about it. I know Congresswoman McCollum, when we met with her recently, expressed interest in this, and we had not specifically the minimum rents, but overall that the vouchers underpay us to deliver them, which is our larger systemic problem with the HRA budget. And so we expect that she will continue to be interested. So.
okay, so there will be follow-up. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Johnson and then Musay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just second everything that was been said by my colleagues. This was a really hard vote for me too, but I will join with everyone today and vote to approve this. The one thing I would ask too, and not with a motion or anything, but especially on going from 1 to 2 year inspections, A, to be more efficient, cost savings, and then B, hoping for landlord recruitment, which is really important. That could be an upside to this. I just would like to know if we could track that in any way. So a year or two down the road, we can see if there was some positive impact on that. So that would be my only wish coming out of this. And then, of course, I'll work on my congressperson as well.
So just so we're clear, Councilmember Johnson, you want to track the number of landlords? Or
Madam Chair, just because there's, I think, a presumption or a hope that by reducing one inspection each year and going on an every other year cycle, that might encourage landlords to opt into the system for voucher acceptance. I just would like to find out if we anecdotally or otherwise find that to be the case as we move down the path. That's all.
and staff have that noted. You know, I was able to be at the meeting that day and also asked that evictions are tracked and to the reasons for the evictions and if this is having any effect. They already track that, so that will be an easy thing to do. Council Member Musay.
Thanks, Madam Chair. It was a very difficult vote, and we had a very passionate discussion at the committee level. I was one of the opposing sides who voted no. for the increase. The reason why I work with a lot of low-income community every day. Many of us in this room, $50 might not seem a lot, but for low-income folks, people with disability, especially the families, it might change and amend their monthly budget. With that, I will vote yes, although also planning to do that to just show unity of this council. But I will like to direct the staff to explore other options if we get other resources. So we, in the future, if we manage in any way to, if we find more money, can we take this $50 back? And if we get other sources, can we really not to make life of folks who are already struggling harder? So if we get other sources of revenue, can we take this back? That's my question.
So staff, we have that too. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Lindstrom.
Thanks, Madam Chair. It seems to me that whenever we're taking a hard vote, we want to get a really good understanding of what's happening at the national level. And we want to consult with the people that are going to be impacted on whatever that vote is. And so what we learned at the committee level is that we hired a consultant, number one, to get us a solid understanding at what's happening at the regional level, 7 out of 9 have some sort of minimum rent. National level, 80 to 90% of HRAs have a minimum rent. So I think that's great that we did that. And number two, in terms of consulting with the people that it's going to be impacting, we consulted with the Resident Advisory Board and learned that many of them, perhaps not all, but many of them felt that this was a positive direction forward, that this would help the greatest number of people. And so, so I'm supportive of it. And while the minimum rent is a tough act to swallow, I just want to call out there's a lot of really fantastic other aspects of this plan, particularly the move-up preference, I think is really innovative. How we're having a preference for moving people from supportive housing to independent living and therefore freeing up spots in supportive housing. I think that is great, and I think that will have a really measurable impact in our region. And then the inspection, the biennial inspection, I think this carrot approach is a really positive direction as well. It's like, hey, if you have your act together, if your units are in good shape, here is a carrot for you. You can go from 1 year to 2 years, and so I'm supportive of that too, and give kudos to the staff for thinking creatively on these important movements. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're in the discussion on the motion from Councilmember Lilligren, and next we have Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a comment. I voted ultimately with it too, but I had strong reservations. I don't know how many of us in the room have been on public assistance like myself. But, this week we're looking at maybe 35,000 Minnesotans being kicked off of food stamps under the new rules of the current president. And I think we have to really track this issue because it's just going to be a bigger problem also because the president has also weaponized the issue of homelessness with California. He filed an EPA complaint with California over its homelessness issue, which was tied to his fight with California about the carbon emissions issue. And an hour ago, our governor just announced that we're going to take California's lead. So if tonight at 3 a.m. the president tweets at us about our homelessness issue, we'll have to deal with that too. But it's really a big problem that we have to really come together as a region to solve.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Chair. I too would like to thank Chair Lilligren of the
community development. It really was a robust conversation. I am a person who has come full circle on this particular issue. Um, Believe me, that's a surprise to myself. But anyway, I think that the facts that were presented and what staff has done, and I too had my thanks to staff, but certainly you have been immersed in the issue for many years and the alternatives and who's doing what and how we can partner and how we can serve the most with the least amount of harm. Very, very challenging. So I have great faith in what you have proposed. I think the fact that there are, I mean, $162,000, if that's the potential savings, is pretty minimal against a over $1 million deficit. However, it would allow for up to, I believe it was 18 families or 18 individuals to perhaps find housing. I think that's a clear step. There are exemptions for those who need that exemption, so there is a way around. I think the fact that the majority of HRAs do have a minimum rent is important, not just to be going along with the crowd, but I think that that speaks to the need. Certainly the need for housing is, the pressure is just growing and growing and growing and growing exponentially. And sustaining a deficit of this sort annually is simply not possible. And while this is one step and staff is looking at many other things, I think that it's an important one. I don't think we want to revisit this by lowering it to 25 and then having to come back and revisit again in a year or 2 years or whatever. I think as challenging and difficult as it is the right decision. So I have come full circle on this. And then as far as the biannual inspections, I think that will hopefully, I know one of the things that I had heard many times from landlords who did not want to participate in the Housing Choice Voucher Program was that there were so many reports and restrictions and this and that. And this may be a way to incentivize additional individuals to accept housing choice vouchers. So, we talked about that too. How do we incentivize? Because it is part of this is supply and demand, and hopefully we can increase the supply, which will be helpful as well. I commend everybody who was on the Community Development Committee. It was a respectful conversation, and it was really hard. Everybody feels passionately and has really excellent points to make whichever way they are leaning. And so it was very challenging. And again, I thank you. But I think this is an important decision to make. Councilmember Atlas Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Chair. I support the plan almost in its entirety, everything except for minimum rent. I feel strongly about how does having a minimum rent advance equity? If we ask ourselves that question, it actually does the opposite of that. It's making an inequitable situation even more inequitable. And there's not any evidence that this is really doing something for a very significant reason to compel us to do something that puts more burden on a family who already has the least among us. So for those reasons, I would like an amendment to move the plan forward without the minimum rent.
I have to check on that process. We're in the middle of motion,
It's an amendment.
so we can accept amendment, correct?
Yes.
Terrian? Okay.
Are you moving to amend?
Yes.
Okay. So state your amendment.
The amendment is to move the plan forward as stated with the exception of the removal of the minimum rent requirement.
There's an amendment by Atlas Ingebrigtsen to move forward with the current proposal with the exception of the minimum rent. So members, to clarify what a yes vote means and a no vote means. A yes vote would support the amendment. A no vote would not support the amendment. We are going to do a voice vote.
Madam
and
Chair,
that-
I'll second the amendment for
Okay, and it's been
discussion.
seconded by Councilmember Johnson. So make sure your yeses and nos are clear here because relies on my hearing on the outcome of this, okay? So all those in favor of the amendment say aye.
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 All those opposed say no.
No.
Okay. My hearing is that I would say that the noes have it and the amendment does not pass.
Can we just do a roll call on?
So it
For
would
that?
be called a division, I believe, and so we'll do a hand by show of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand.
For the 50,
For eliminating.
To remove
For the amendment.
the amendment.
For the
the
amendment.
50.
To eliminate it.
Zero.
Eliminate.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed should be the rest, but we have an uneven amount of people here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I get that right? Is staff?
I believe so.
Okay. So 8 to 5. So the amendment fails. Okay. Amendment fails, and so now we're back to the original vote, which is on 2019-258. Is there any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilmember Johnson?
just one thing, and I'm sorry I couldn't attend the last community development meeting. And again, I support the every other year inspections, but I would hope that if someone fails an inspection or does it in such an egregious way that staff is concerned, that they have the ability to go back the next year to make sure things are corrected and that we don't get in a cycle. So that's just a comment, and I don't know if that would prevent that from happening.
No, I think that was
That may have been
discussed.
discussed, okay.
Councilmember Lilligren.
Madam Chair, we do have staff here, but just briefly on that,
Yeah.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Johnson, there's all kinds of regulations that support landlords that are passing inspections regularly, and then there are other regulations that prohibit landlords that are not passing inspections regularly from that biannual, that it would be more frequent as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Lilligren. I just wanted to make sure that, people understood that too, that it wasn't just an automatic.
So staff, I think that is correct, right? Of course, what you said. I don't know if you want to supplement. We had the situation in our city, and it was terrible. I mean, if you're not passing an inspection, or if there's plugged up toilets or ovens that don't work or refrigerators that don't work, there's a process.
So, Madam Chair and Councilmember Johnson, thank you for the question. I'm Terry Smith, the Director of the Housing Authority. For the record, that is correct. So landlords need to meet qualifying criteria every year in order to be eligible for a biennial inspection the following year.
Thank you. And thanks to staff and Councilmember Lilligren. Of course, I knew you were correct, but it's always good to
Nope.
have the supplemental.
She's the expert, yeah.
Councilmember Musse.
Can we also, direct the staff as a part of this process, in the possibility of exploring other options of resources if we can get money from somewhere, so we can really, minimize the damage for families who are struggling if we, increase the minimum rent to $50.
So staff, there's a request that we try to find other resources so that potentially, and I think that was made during the process too, that if we can find other sources instead of the $50, we could come back and change that vote or look at other options. I think you're probably always looking at the options, but why don't you tell us about that?
So, Madam Chair and Councilmember Musa, we look at, we do a policy review every year in conjunction with this PHA plan process. So we're looking at our policies once a year. If HUD funds our entire budget next year and we have money to spare, we can certainly have a conversation with the committee to change our policy back to zero minimum rent. We can do that at any time.
Okay. Thank you. And, all council members, as you're all out there and we're all talking to people and, we all have people on Section 8 and vouchers in our districts, bring the stories back and talk to staff and, we'll work through them too. So I think the feedback is also helpful as we move along here. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I highly doubt that feds are going to come back and say that they have extra money for us, because this has been going on the whole time I've been here. We've been looking at various cost containment strategies because the reimbursement keeps going down and down. This isn't a new thing. We changed all of the PHA, family affordable housing program, the homes that we owned, we changed the way that those were structured because there was a shortfall. That was one of the first things that I did when I came on the council 10 and a half years ago. So I would caution getting too political with it because this has been going on for a long time. It's been underfunded under multiple administrations, and staff has been very compassionate about how they look through the different ways to deal with the shortfalls and maximize the number of families that we're able to serve and provide them with as dignified a housing as we can muster with the funds that we have for as many families as possible. And I've been homeless as an adult. When my husband and I and our child were homeless. I've had my kids on medical assistance, so I'm compassionate to people who are struggling financially. But I also feel better about what we're doing because last week I spoke at length with the head of the Dakota County CDA, and they have a minimum rent, and he said that it's worked very well for them. It hasn't been something horrible for people to deal with. It's actually been a positive for their program. So I think we have to wait and see how things go, and I'm sure staff will follow up with us on whether there are any problems. But I feel confident that we're doing the right thing today, and we're going to have to find more cost containment strategies because the reimbursement does keep going down. Unless there's some major change of the whole political system in Washington, it's going to keep going down.
Anything else? Say?
Thanks, Walter. As a region that faces one of the worst, racial disparity and income disparity, we just have to be careful about not, in the sake of saving money, to just take steps that will deepen this disparity. So just point that out and be sensitive to people who are really already struggling. And this change will affect mostly people of color, people with disability, people with limited income. So let's just be clear with that and be careful moving forward. Any moves that will really that will increase this disparity instead of solving it. So,
I think it's all good points. And as the council starts to do its goal setting, as you know, we're going to set 3 to 5 goals for a strategic plan, and reducing disparities is one of them. And so I think it is, we as a council are going to have to figure out how to do that, right? And so the discussion will continue. All right, with that, I think we're to the final vote, right? And all those in favor of 2019-258, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. Any opposed? Okay. All right, it's unanimous. So thank you, Councilmember Lilligren and Council for good discussion. Environment, no reports.
No reports.
Management Committee, Councilmember Ferguson.
We have one business item today. That's business item 19247. It's the approval of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades Local Number 61 AFL-CIO, a contract we've come to an agreement with them on. We have a labor agreement with the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, which expired on April 30th, 2019. The union represents 6 employees that perform maintenance work for the Environmental Services Division. The union and the council reached a tentative agreement on August 22nd, 2019, which was ratified by the membership on August 27th, 2019. Highlights of the agreement include a 3-year contract effective May 1st, 2019 to April 29th, 2022, a $2 per hour increase each year of the agreement in total wages and benefits package, which per council policy follows the outside agreement negotiated between Local 61 and representatives of the local construction industry. In 2019, the total package will be $60.19 per hour. Council trade employees receive all health and welfare benefits through their union. The total package includes payments for all wages and benefits, including health insurance, pension contributions, and sick and vacation leave. Cost of the labor agreement was reviewed by finance and was negotiated within the economic parameters established by the council. The item was reviewed and approved by the Management Committee on September 11th, 2019. Madam Chair, the Management Committee moves approval to authorize the Regional Administrator to enter into a labor agreement with the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades Local Number 61 AFL-CIO, effective May 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2022.
There's a motion by Councilmember Ferguson for 2019-247 business item. Is there a second?
Second.
I think it was a tie there. Over here it was second by Johnson. I have to make those decisions, so you have to be loud on your seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Transportation, Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, council members, business item number 2019-240 is regarding the defederalization of two Anoka County regional solicitation projects. Anoka County proposes to move the federal funds from two small projects totaling $3.3 million to one large project. The smaller projects would still be completed with local funds. Elimination of federal funds on two projects enhances the efficiency, primarily by eliminating some federal requirements. Anoka County MnDOT and Metropolitan Council staff have met to discuss the best path forward to satisfying the DBE requirements and other federal requirements. It was determined that the best option was MnDOT's ADA Small Business Opportunity Pilot Program. Key points regarding the program include MnDOT's Office of Civil Rights will review Anoka County's two proposed defederalized projects and set a DBE goal similar to if federal funds were used on the projects. Anoka County will add about $350,000 into MnDOT's ADA Small Business Opportunity Pilot Program, and MnDOT will target DBE and veteran businesses for performing the work. Anoka County will add contract language to require materials be sourced in the U.S. similar to Buy America, and the results will be communicated back to TAB and Council via MnDOT. MnDOT, the Council, and TAB will establish a work group to try and establish a policy for future requests. Therefore, Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council approve an action to move federal funds from Anoka County's County State Aid Road CASA 22 Bridge Project and its Minnesota Highway 47 CASA 116 intersection improvement to its CASA 11 Railroad Grade Separation Project with the stipulations as outlined in the business item.
Thank you. So there's a motion by Councilmember Barber on 2019-240. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Zarin. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Barber, can you just tell us a little bit about defederalization and what's going to happen in the future with it?
Sure, we talked about it a couple of meetings ago, but the plan really in the future is we are going to, because this is a process that we use, some of the counties use, but they have processes in place to address the various federal requirements. We're going to work with MnDOT to establish the overarching policy for this going forward. MnDOT will be leading that effort, but we're actively involved in the process.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Your next item?
Thank you. Madam Chair, council members, business item number 2019-248 is regarding the 2020 to 2023 Transportation Improvement Program. The TIP is a four-year program of transportation projects funded in whole or part with federal funding. The 2020 to 2023 TIP is a multimodal program of highway, transit, bicycle, and pedestrian projects in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. The TIP includes $5 billion in projects and contains projects using federal formula funds selected by MnDOT and the Council, and projects selected through the regional solicitation. The TIP is consistent with the Transportation Policy Plan adopted by the Metropolitan Council on April 24th, 2019, with FHWA and FTA air quality conformity determination established on May 9th, 2019. TAB held a 45-day public comment period and reviewed and accepted the public comment report, which included comments from 10 sources along with changes requested by MnDOT. Therefore, Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council concur with the Transportation Advisory Board action to adopt the 2020 to 2023 Transportation Improvement Program for the Twin Cities metropolitan area relative to certification and findings as outlined in the business item.
There's a motion by Councilmember Barber on 2019-248 SW. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Cummings. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Barber, did you mention the size of that?
Total size of that is, the TIP includes $5 billion in projects.
So just so people know, this is a really big vote for really great projects, but it's good, and thank you to you and the TAB for your work. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Item number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, council members, business item number 2019-249 is to adopt the 2020 Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP, with a total budget of $7,286,830, and to adopt the resolution 2019-22, authorize the filing of an application with Minnesota Department of Transportation for a planning grant under the FAST Act, and to authorize the regional administrator to enter into an agreement with the state of Minnesota Department of Transportation for distribution of FHWA and FTA planning funds. Overall, the UPWP serves as council's application for USDOT transportation planning funds and must be submitted and approved by MnDOT, FHWA, and FTA to receive the funds. The document describes the proposed transportation planning activities, studies, and the program budget for 2020. Proposed activities are based upon the goals of the Transportation Policy Plan, transportation planning questions and priorities facing the region, and planning needs expressed by our regional planning partners. The program has a proposed total budget of $7,286,830, of which 66% is provided by federal transportation planning funds. Therefore, Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the 2020 Unified Planning Work Program, adopt Resolution 2019-22 to authorize the filing of the UPWP to MnDOT to receive transportation planning funds, and authorize the regional administrator to enter into agreement with the state of Minnesota Department of Transportation for distribution of FHWA and FTA planning funds.
Okay. There is a motion by Councilmember Barber on 2019-249 SW. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Councilmember Lee. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing all ayes, motion carries. So that brings us into next our joint report of Environment and Community Development Committees. So I think Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Councilmember Lindstrom will have to give these with one of the upcoming council meetings. But the following 10 business items are comprehensive plans for communities connected to the regional wastewater system. They were all heard in Community Development and Environment Committees. We'll want to vote on each individually, but I want to assure my council colleagues that I worked with Director Barajas and kind of created an abridged or streamlined way to get through these approvals. All but 2 of these 10 plans, council staff found that their 2040 plans confirmed to regional systems plans are consistent with council policies and are compatible with the plans of the adjacent and affected jurisdictions. I'll highlight the 2 that were found differently. So the first item is business item 2019-230 to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Richfield. Madam Chair, I move that the city of Richfield that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the city of Richfield to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect and to advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. From the Environment Committee, to approve the city of Richfield's comprehensive sewer plan, and upon approval, the city shall submit to the council a copy of the revised ordinance regarding illicit clear water connections.
Okay, so there is a motion by Councilmember Lilligren, 2019-230 JT. Is there a second? Richfield.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councilmember Vento. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any ayes? All the motion passes. Your second item.
Thanks, Madam Chair. The next business item is 2019-231. It's to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Minneapolis. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. Authorize the city of Minneapolis to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. 2, to revise the city's forecast upwards as shown in the attached review record. Also 3, related advice related to the adoption of the MRCCA plan, and the recommendation from the Environment Committee to approve the comprehensive sewer plan component of the City of Minneapolis comprehensive plan.
There's a motion by Councilmember Lilligren for 2019-231 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. and seconded by Councilmember Mousset. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, the motion passes. Next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is business item 2019-233 to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Lakeville. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record. Take the following actions from CDC. Authorize the city of Lakeville to place its 2040 comprehensive plan to effect. Approve the revised sewer service forecast as shown in Table 2 of the review record, and advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record for surface water management from the Environment Committee to approve the city of Lakeville's comprehensive sewer plan.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Number 4.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is business item 2019-234 to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Minnetonka Beach. This is one of the plans that staff found was inconsistent with the council policies for land use, housing, and wastewater. But given the relatively small amount of growth forecasted for the community, staff found that the plan is not more likely than not to have a substantial impact on or contain a substantial departure from the Metropolitan Systems Plan. There just isn't going to be a lot of growth in the community. Therefore, Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record. Take the following actions. Authorize the city of Minnetonka Beach to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect, to strongly encourage the city to link housing needs with housing tools, and to address all widely known housing tools as detailed in the housing advisory comments, and advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record for surface water management, land use, and housing. And from the Environment Committee, approve the comprehensive sewer plan component of the city of Minnetonka Beach's comprehensive plan.
The Councilmember Lilligren has moved 2019-234 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ferguson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Your next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Business item 2019-235 is next. It's to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Oakdale. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions from the Community Development Committee. Authorize the city of Oakdale to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect, and to advise the city to revise the plan prior to final adoption to acknowledge that the Highway 36 and 120 interchange is not identified in the current review scenario of the TPP and is not currently funded for construction prior to 2040. Authorization of the city's plan does not infer approval of the interchange or modification of the construction timeline. Also, to implement the advisory comments in the review record. The recommendation from the Environment Committee, approve the city of Oakdale's comprehensive sewer plan.
There's a motion by Councilmember Lilligren for number 2019-235 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Bento. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Your next item.
Thanks,
number
Madam.
6.
Next item is business item 2019-236 to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Columbia Heights. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions from Community Development Committee. Authorize the city of Columbia Heights to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. Advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. And from the Environment Committee, approve the city of Columbia Heights comprehensive sewer plan component of the city's 2040 comprehensive plan.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilmember Lilligren for 2019-236 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Second by Councilmember Sterner. Is there any further discussion? So typically, we have the council member whose council this district is in second, but some council members aren't here, so I don't know exactly who has what. So I'll look for that though. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is 2019-241, the City of Crystal 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the City of Crystal to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect and to advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. From the Environment Committee, to approve the City of Crystal's comprehensive sewer plan.
Okay. Councilmember Lilligren has made a motion for 2019-241 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Atlas Ingebrigtsen. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Your next item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is to authorize the 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Greenwood, a city that I didn't even know existed in the metropolitan area until this report. It's been great to see all of these comprehensive plans and learn about more all the communities across the region.
Who's the mayor of the committee?
Apologies. So this is one of the plans that staff found was inconsistent with council policies for land use and wastewater, but given that no growth is forecasted for the community, staff found that the plan is not more likely than not to have a substantial impact on or contain substantial departure from metropolitan systems plans. So Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record, take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the City of Greenwood to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect, and 2, advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. And from the Environment Committee, approve the City of Greenwood's comprehensive sewer plan.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilmember Lilligren on 2019-242 JT. Is there a second?
A second with an invitation for everyone to come.
I would love to. Thank you.
A second by Councilmember Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 9, 2 more.
Yeah, thanks. The next item is business item 2019-243, the City of Woodland 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From the Community Development Committee, authorize the City of Woodland to place its 2040 Comprehensive Plan into effect and to advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. And from the Environment Committee, approve the City of Woodland's comprehensive sewer plan.
Okay, there's a motion by Lilligren on item number 2019-243 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Ferguson. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And your last one.
Yeah, thanks. And Madam Chair, before I give this last, I just really want to call out and thank the work of our staff, our planning staff. It was so clear as the different district planning staff came forward, the commitment they had to the communities they work with, to the work that they do here, and also to the cities themselves. And it really was amazing throughout this process how many cities had representatives that attended the committee meetings. It was helpful to get questions answered at times, but really just showing that commitment to the regional process. It was really, really impressive. So thanks to both groups. The 10th item is business item 2019-244. It's the City of North St. Paul Comprehensive Plan. Madam Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. From Community Development Committee, authorize the City of North St. Paul to place its 2040 Comprehensive Plan into effect. 2, to revise the city's forecast downward as shown in the review record. 3, to revise the city's allocation of affordable housing need to 25 units. And 4th, to advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record. From the Environment Committee, to first approve the City of North St. Paul's comprehensive sewer plan, and also, when available, the city is advised to provide the council the date the city adopted the final LWMP.
Right, so there is a motion by Councilmember Lilligren, 2019-244 JT. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Councilmember Vento. Is there any further discussion? See, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a general question. For the 2 comp plans that the land use is not consistent, have we ever not passed them for that reason? And or do we, what happens?
We have
staff talk
I think
about-
Mike is going to hope, but yeah, please. Director.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, council members, Mike Wilson, local planning assistants, sector rep, council member Lee. Land use impacts and density are, in terms of our authority to review a comprehensive plan, are primarily related to conformance with regional systems. If a community is not planning at the densities that are identified in Thrive MSB and in the wastewater treatment plans, it's possible that they can represent a significant underutilization of the regional system. In the case of Minnetonka Beach, the growth is so small that there's very little impact on the regional system as a whole.
And was
Thank you.
was North St. Paul the other one? What was the second one? It was
Other
something else, right?
Greenwood or
Was
what?
it Greenwood?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's not that common, but can happen and moves forward.
Correct.
Okay.
There's probably a lot of in my little district around Lake Minnetonka that don't perform.
And that's, hence our discussion on potentially a 1040 EZ comp plan process in 10 years. So, there's a ways to go. I think, Council, I don't know if you feel the way I do. We're lucky to be here at this time and to get to go through all these comprehensive plans because you hear about them and they're almost sort of legendary for the Met Council, and we're here and seeing them. But we want our thoughts to, of course, carry through to the future. So,
And Madam Chair, if I may, thank you. Mike. Yeah, and also it just, I mean, to just really support what you just said, it's just been really interesting to learn so much about so many communities, how committed they are, the different. Councilmember Wolf sort of started us off in this direction of highlighting restaurants and other destinations within some of these communities that a lot of us don't know a lot about. So it has been early in our term to go through this process has been very enlightening.
yeah, it's very good. And I think as we go to places around the country, it is not like this around the country. And so when you talk about the high quality of the Twin Cities and the high quality of our region and what the Met Council does, this is a big part of it, right? Is why we're high quality and we can determine metrics like this. So thanks to the staff as well. And I think we're still in the middle of the vote. So we'll take the vote. All those in favor of 2019-244 JT, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Madam Chair, I
Councilmember
have to correct
Johnson.
the record. I jumped the gun. I was here in Greenwood. We have not annexed Greenwood into District 1 yet. So I want to apologize to Councilmember Ferguson for seconding his awesome comp plan for Greenwood. And everyone is still invited to go there.
Annexation.
I have to admit, it is a little hard on some of the little ones, especially depending on where your district is and where you come from, to know all the cities. So,
Madam Chair?
yes, Councilmember Vento.
Madam Chair, since we're doing confessions, Councilmember Johnson, and apologize to Councilmember Cummings for seconding Richfield.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
I should have
Jump the gun.
Yeah. Used to work with the teachers in Richfield, so I feel a kinship there. Sorry.
That's okay. I think we're all doing our best, right? So,
Madam Chair, the cities are just glad we're moving them forward.
right, they're relieved out there. We see people from the metro cities and places, and that's it for the formal agenda tonight, and which moves us into reports. And it's only 5 after 5, so that means we're gonna have your share reports, but kind of in that checkout fashion of one positive thing, or you can talk about more. But I think we're gonna start on that end and just go this way. So,
Thank you,
Councilmember Wolf.
Madam Chair. I'm really glad you're starting with me because I told some of my colleagues before the meeting, my son, daughter-in-law, and grandbaby are in town, and I have a smoker full of ribs waiting for me to get home so we can eat dinner. So that's my happy thing for the day. And if it's okay with you, I'm out of here.
Oh, absolutely. I thought you were gonna invite all of us.
That's not big of a smoker.
Councilmember Sterner.
Basically, it's getting ready for things. I think I already reported on the weekend I had down in the Rochester area where we looked at some water sites, but I'm getting ready to go to a couple conferences dealing with water, including one at the Department of Health, doing with microplastics in the water. So that's coming up on October 1st. So thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My good thing is I missed the earlier plant tour, so I'm touring the Metro plant tomorrow. So I look forward to that. And I have somber news to share. Many of you might know, but my direct predecessor, Rich Kramer, passed away yesterday. And I just wanted to recognize his work on the council. Yeah, I believe it was a heart attack or stroke.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I saw it on Facebook as well. I guess it was a heart attack. He is someone that I live almost on the east side, about a block from there, and he used to organize these lunches on the holidays, and everybody, a lot of leaders on the east side and folks would get together and have these big lunches on like Veterans Day, Martin Luther King Day, and he did a lot of work here at the council, right, as your predecessor. So thank you for mentioning that. I'm sure look for the details on the arrangements. Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I'm just going to mention that, during the management committee or afterwards, I had the opportunity to touch bases again with Jessica Lohman, who's currently the executive director of the Minnesota State Building and Construction Trades Council. But we used to work together at the Department of Labor and Industry for a number of years. And it's just sparked my thinking that we do have a lot of opportunities to connect and bring folks, different perspectives from folks from all over the place, from our past and current lives, into the work that we're doing. So I will encourage myself and also the members of the council to continue with our networking efforts and strengthening and maintaining those relationships that we had in the past, because this is a small world and we are bound to meet each other and collaborate in the future. So it was good to see Director Lohman, and I'm looking forward to perhaps meeting somebody else from my past, except hopefully not an ex-girlfriend, but but everybody else will be welcome. So thank you.
Just good comments. I hope it's okay, Councilmember Ferguson, that I won't be preempting you, but there was a discussion on prevailing wage and project labor agreements, a very robust discussion in the management committee that will be continuing. So good point, right? You never know who's going to show up and who we can learn from. Councilmember Vento.
I'm going to pass.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sure?
I'm just a little rattled about the news about Rich Kramer, so I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass.
Councilmember Lindstrom.
Thank you. Rich Kramer, who I first met in 1999, and he helped design my lawn signs for Peter Lindstrom for City Council. And so I owe him a great debt of gratitude, and he will be missed. So tomorrow, on behalf of the council, I'm attending The Power of Organic Waste, renewable natural gas for Minnesota. And so what we're talking about here is like anaerobic digestion, where you can get gas from landfills or gas from wastewater and put it into the pipeline, the natural gas pipeline. So I'm curious to learn more about that. And then Metro Plant tour tomorrow, I believe, afternoon. Yep, and then Blue Lake tour on October 3rd. So put those on your calendar as well.
Councilman Lindstrom, I should know this. Where's the Blue Lake plant?
Pardon me? Shakopee, yeah. Yep, Shakopee.
Thank you. Councilmember Zarin.
Yes, I don't know. Can you hear me? I hope so. Just to check in, tomorrow morning I'm planning on doing a walk down of the LRT, the Southwest Light Rail at 6:30. I'm hoping to get a word with the crew, the construction workers that work on that. I look forward to that. I really want to set a tone and make sure that the workers understand that we're not just building a rail system, we're also building a better community. And with that, at 6 o'clock, the Coon Rapids High School parade for homecoming will start, and I really would like to be part of it.
Yes, with your excuse, I think I saw on Facebook, I hope it's okay to say this, you have a kid in band,
Yeah.
right? I was a total band geek, so yes, of course. Is your child going to play?
Absolutely.
And tell us name and instrument.
Well, Kylie plays the mellophone in the band. It's like a large trumpet.
Okay.
but she started with the piano, and right now she's up to 8 different instruments that she can play.
Gosh, wow.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for the parents out there, get your kids into music. It's really a good thing for them to do. It did wonders for both of our children.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay. Thank you, and feel free. Hopefully, we're not holding anybody up. Maybe we should go by who has to go to what event first. Liz, you have to tell us one positive thing.
Well, my son is playing football right now, so.
Wednesdays are a problem, aren't they?
Yeah,
So if you,
so hopefully they'll win.
we'll go quickly.
Yeah.
So Eastridge,
Yes,
right?
Eastridge.
Thank you, and appreciate you being here, and I'm sure you're thinking about him. Just a little bit, we were able to go on a tour this week, and it's going to be offered to all of you, so a heads up is of Southwest Light Rail. And so Councilmember Cummings and I went with some staff, and we counted 23 cranes that are out there. And so it is a massive project, and I don't know how many of you are getting calls about it, but if you are, it's a huge, as you know, horizontal project as opposed to a vertical project. So it was really exciting to see it. It really helped me understand both. We saw the meters that measure motion because we have some places going through that. We got to see the construction. We got to see how they move the creek and the river, and it was very interesting. So that's my report. Just one other quick one. There is a place called our good new home, and in Ojibwe it's Mino Oski Andayang, located on University Avenue, and it's a 4-story development providing 42 units of high-quality permanent housing and wraparound services for young people. So if you see that, it's a brand new building. It's really cool looking, all different colors. Hope you'll take a look and know what a good project that is.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Monday night, I attended the Edina conversation on climate change, and they had a couple of panel discussions. They had meteorologist Paul Douglas, they had Representative Hornstein, Representative Edelson, Representative Elkins, Representative Wagenius, a physician, all talking about climate change. It was a fascinating discussion. The room was absolutely, it was in their council chambers, it was packed. They had overflow, which was packed with a closed circuit TV. They have a very robust climate action committee, and I spoke to the chair of the committee, and they are going to be presenting to the Edina City Council on October 1, I believe it was, with they've developed an entire climate action plan, and then I will be talking to her afterwards. But she is suggesting that perhaps the Met Council might come up with a template for a climate action plan that could be posted online that various communities, municipalities could find and adapt to their own use, because not every city is large enough, especially as we're going through comp plans and realizing the various sizes that comprise our 7-county metro area, but not everyone is large enough to engage a committee or have consultants and so forth. So if the council might be able to work on that, I put that into my ideas for our retreat coming up. But I thought it was a great idea. I'm looking forward to having further conversation with her. I did kind of scour the Met Council website and couldn't find anything that, there are lots of ideas in various categories and in various areas, but not specifically kind of a template. And I liked the idea of that, so I'm hoping that we can get that further consideration. So.
I don't have any specific notebook update, but I would like to reiterate Gonzalez's point about the importance of, in leveraging and building our external relationships to advance our work here and also to become more effective council members. We live in a small town, so it's always good to have relationships and to navigate those relationships to explore new opportunities that we can use to advance equally.
Great point. Good. Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I mean, I have two council-related things, and the first is that on Thursday, September 19th, I attended at the Interagency Council on Homelessness, the Minnesota State Interagency Council on Homelessness, a meeting of regional public sector leaders to discuss the recommendations that came forward about addressing unsheltered homelessness in our region. Councilmember Cummings was there as well. She's been to a lot of these meetings. At your request, I was honored to represent you and bring your perspective and the Met Council perspective into the conversation as well. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan opened and closed the meeting. Housing Commissioner Ho played a key role, and then Kathy Tenbrook, the state director to end preventing and homelessness. The big news, I think, is that the Interagency Council on Homelessness has put on dedicated staff to address unsheltered homelessness in our region. It's Margaret King, and she is beginning to develop a plan around work groups, probably 3 work groups: policy, funding, and practices. If council members are interested, there, I'm sure, is access into those work groups as well. Our staff is also very well represented. Director Barajas, Ms. Smith, the Metro Transit Police Chief and HAT team was also present. And so this is ongoing work where all jurisdictions from our region are coming together to coordinate strategies to prevent and end unsheltered homelessness. Very encouraging stuff, kind of slow moving, but it's moving. The other is just to let council members know that on last Friday, October 20th, I attended the Alliance Equity Housing Forum at Rondo Library here in St. Paul. Or I'm sorry, yeah, equitable housing. Equitable housing is a term that the former Alliance for Metropolitan Stability, is promoting as opposed to affordable housing, because it acknowledges the fact that cost is far from the only barrier to safe and dignified housing for all people. It was an incredibly well attended forum of advocates and activists and providers that are developing regional recommendations, and so I'm sure we'll hear more from that as it goes forward.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mine's not really a happy thing. But a shout out to a person who is a kind soul. And I need to read it because I'm very sad. As Councilmember Lee mentioned, we lost someone from our council family last night. Rich Kramer represented District 13 throughout the Dayton administration. As another former colleague, John Commerce, artfully put it, he was generous with his time. He believed that government could and does improve people's lives, and man, did he love the East Side and its community. We were all really sorry to get the news, so on behalf of the Dayton Council, and as I'm happily hearing the Walls Council, and our staff, I'd like to express our sincere condolences to his family and friends. He will be missed.
Thank you. I don't know, do you ever do a moment of silence, or
Yes,
do you want to do it
before.
Okay, we'll take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ferguson.
I think you touched on the items that we have, so I don't have anything else to add.
Oh, did I preempt you on? Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited. Tomorrow I'll be attending the I-94 West Corridor Coalition MnDOT Metro meeting hosted by also Representative Robbins from that part of the world. And we'll be getting an update on all of the construction projects in the I-494 or the I-94 corridor. So it's a great meeting of stakeholders. I'll be seeing a lot of the business and community leaders from my district, and always appreciate keeping abreast of all of those important projects in my area. So.
Councilmember Atlas Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask people, something really big happened last Friday. Do people know what that was? You got it, Peter?
The climate.
Yeah, so last Friday was the largest single gathering of people for climate change, to address climate change, the global climate strike. 4 million, over 4 million worldwide, but here locally at the state capitol, there were 6,000 people, organized by young people, and many of the speakers and the person organizing in our state was 16. I attended, my son was there. It was wonderful to see council staff attend, and I just want to make sure that we are aware and we see young people, that we see and hear what they're asking us to do, that we don't turn a blind eye or approach them as naive. It was really, truly inspiring to hear what they had to say. I encourage you to listen to videos from young people from our own community. It was incredibly diverse, and this generation is not separating economic opportunity from climate, from social justice and equity. And I think we really need to learn from them what it means to approach things in the dynamic way that we need to address our complex and dynamic challenges. So I was really, again, happy to see council staff participating in that day. Also from MPOSC, we approved a plan for a really important resource to our region. The final link of the grand rounds was approved at MPOSC and came before the CDC as well. That's a really exciting accomplishment for Minneapolis, but really for the region. In my time working at the city of Minneapolis, we had people come and visit from all over the world specifically to see that trail system that was laid out over 100 years ago. So to see a plan finalized for that and aspirations for that to happen within the next 10 years, which isn't right around the corner, but in the context of the length of this plan, we're closer than ever to seeing that finish. The last thing is last Saturday, my son competed in his very first skateboarding competition in Maple Grove at their skate park. But while there, and he won. Beginner. He would, and I'm proud of him. I have to. I'm not so good about saying that always at things because I have high expectations. That might be a surprise to you all. But while there, a number of young people were excited about New Hope's Civic Park City park that's getting put in place. So it was just nice to hear young people talking about the work of a local community, that because a key part of that park is also going to be a skate pad and a skate park. So it was just really nice to hear them talking about a plan. And they're building it right now, and it will be ready next spring, hopefully, I believe. But that was just a real exciting thing, and I think we should have more conversations with young people.
Yeah.
I was able to say, yeah, I know about that plan, and we approved it, and part of their comp plan and exciting work that one of our communities is doing.
Well, let's think about, because it's come up with voices of youth, voices of other people, and how to bring them in, and give that some thought. Regional Administrator Vedas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will just say that as is the nature of a both aging workforce that's getting ready to retire and a decent economy where people have other job opportunities, we have a number of executive and senior management jobs open now or currently opening. Kate Brickman's job, the communications director job, posted today. So I'd appreciate your assistance with helping us find good candidates. It's a unique skill set to be able to both manage a fairly large team, a budget, and have substantial on the record experience. And it's kind of a really highly regarded communications job amongst government entities. And so we're looking for good candidates for that. As some of you may know, our CIO is retiring. That will post shortly. And we've got some other sort of senior management jobs coming in the pipeline. And so I always appreciate your networks just sharing those opportunities with candidates. So.
Great, thank you. Well, that leaves you last but not least.
No report.
No report. Now, you could say college tours or something, right?
We had soccer games this week.
Soccer games, okay. That's good.
Gets me around the metro area. So I was at White Bear Lake last night. We're from Irondale, so that's where my support lies.
Councilmember Moussa.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I would like to report some very not so good news from my district. Many immigrants, last week, many immigrant-owned businesses has been faced vandalism. Someone broke their windows at midnight, I think 4 a.m. They were located in 25th and Franklin. Most of them are Somali and Ethiopian-owned small businesses, and they faced, I think it was hate-driven action. Luckily, the suspect in custody, but any support that you can show in forms of buying a tea from those businesses when you are in Minneapolis will be helpful. Just so our solidarity with those small business owners who faced really hateful actions from someone.
Thank you for sharing that. And I always wonder how we're to communicate about things like that. So email is kind of tough. I think this is a good way to do it. But thanks for mentioning that. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else? It's 5:25. With that, is there a motion for adjournment?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Sterner and second.